What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Fleaflicker NFL Show, episode 29. Before we jump into it, I'm recording. We're recording. I'm here with Amal, my co-host. We're recording on August 28th. It's around 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we just want to give our condolences to the family of Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther. It just came out that he passed away from colon cancer a few minutes ago. So, just hearts out to that man. 2020 sucks. Nothing much I can say that. Nothing much more I can say about that. Just, feeling bad about it, getting real Kobe vibes out here, like sadness. It's a pretty big deal too. So any words you want to say during these depressing times?
I think you've summed it up, my thoughts exactly. I mean, condolences, and I'll have my prayers to the Bozeman family. I mean, I genuinely feel bad. He's been fighting through for 4 years now. He was diagnosed with stage 3, and then he just got into stage 4. And I love it because the cancer was completely overlooked. Not many people, I guarantee you, even noticed that he had cancer. He went through so many battles of chemotherapy. It wasn't known news that he had colon cancer. He was filming multiple movies. He still has a movie coming out this year, and he filmed that too through all this pain. I mean, we know when I can't feel that pain. It's genuinely depressing to see it. I mean, and for a movie like Black Panther, and he was in some of my favorite movies of all time. He was in Infinity War. He was in Endgame. 42 was a great movie too. Yeah, I mean, his acting is superb. I'm genuinely, it's definitely a sad night, I should say. It was a great day to begin with. And then when this news came out, I was definitely saddened. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, rest in peace. Condolences to his family. Just heartfelt. Like everyone is posting about this. It's a huge deal. Like all the NFL fan pages, the NFL itself. Like I got a text from my brother just now, and he was like, "Yo, Chadwick Boseman just died," and I'm like, "Dude, I felt that." So rest in peace. It's a big deal. 2020 sucks. Now I want to move on to some. Well, I want to say brighter news, but Earl Thomas getting cut. That not as bright, or I guess
That's
slightly
definitely bright.
brighter.
That's bright. For
It's
what he
definitely brighter,
right,
but not bright.
for the Ravens, I would consider for the Ravens team chemistry, I'd consider a brighter move. I mean, the dude's completely in the wrong here. I mean, yes, he's arguably the most valuable player on their defense, but come on, man. Come on, man. Come on. You can't be doing that, man. You can't. That's some AB type stuff. And that's even worse than AB cuz he's legitimately attacking these guys. I can't take that. That's unacceptable.
Yeah, so just to recap, so we're gonna hop right into it. We really only have one news item to talk about before we jump into the actual show, which is going to be our over/under show for the NFC, where we're just gonna talk about whether or not we're going over or under based on the betting odds for all 16 of the NFC teams. The only news item we have here, other than this passing of Chadwick Boseman, is ET29 Earl Thomas being cut for getting in a fight with fellow Ravens defender, well, not ex-fellow Ravens defender, spoiler alert, Earl Thomas got cut because he's a bum, but he got in a fight with Chuck Clark, I believe his name is, over a busted assignment, and he posted the play on social media, and then he ended up getting cut. So my initial thoughts on this are they obviously didn't want Earl Thomas in the building because they could have easily kept this under wraps. I'm sure there's so many times in all 32 teams where there's busted coverages in practice, and you have people getting riled up and getting into harsh words, maybe even fists being thrown. I remember I read it in the Eagles training camp notes. Every year they're Brandon Graham got in a fight with Isaac Seumalo over some nonsense. It happens every year, and usually that gets kept under wraps, and it's not that big of a deal. But the fact that it was brought to this, this magnitude, they obviously didn't want him on the team. And I would feel if Earl Thomas was really putting it all together on the field, and if he was being an amazing all pro safety that he's been in previous years, if his play was the best at his position. Like, if this was Tyrann Mathieu, I don't think he gets cut. But Earl Thomas, I just think he didn't fit well with the Ravens. First of all, football wise, like they obviously feel confident in having a good backup and replacement for him. And second of all, just like you said, chemistry wise, he just seemed like a toxic member of the organization. And he's felt like that with the Seahawks back, when he didn't get an extension and he flipped them off while getting carted off the field. From then on, he's just been like high key a cancer. So yeah, just my thoughts on that, Amal. What are your thoughts?
You once again, you summed it up perfectly. He was definitely not a great team player, and you could see that even with his time with Seattle. No guy would just run to the opposing coach saying, "Come get me," yelling that towards the coach. Like, come on now. He definitely, and he said it's a former coach, Jason Garrett. He really wanted to be in Dallas. Yeah, and I think there's definitely still a chance that he can be in Dallas. Ian Rappaport's saying that that there haven't been any talks yet, really, and Jerry Jones also denied it too, and that they are talking to him. I don't know what's really the truth between that, but I mean, he needs to know that he can't be acting or behaving like this. He's a great all-world talent, but you can't. You need to act well on your job, man. You have to behave responsibly. And I know you're trying to avoid some news. That's why you're trying to tell me there's only one major news.
Well, before we move
Yeah.
on to that depressing piece of news, where do you think he's going to go? Because currently he's a free agent, and I feel like he could. Just news coming in the same division. Grant Telpit, I think he was a second-round pick. Probably should have been a first-round safety from LSU, drafted by the Cleveland Browns. He tore his Achilles, I believe it was, and he's out for the season. So I have a pretty strong feeling like he could end up in a place like Cleveland where, Grant Delpit, at least from the film I watched, because I watched a decent amount of film on him going into the draft, he played a lot of just pure free safety. Like he was just, 15 yards off the line of scrimmage,
Yeah.
or occasionally he covered tight ends and all that. But he was filling like that Earl Thomas role of being like the deep middle safety. And obviously he's not as good as Earl Thomas at that role. So I don't know. Where do you think he's going to go?
I think the Browns is a good fit. I think Dallas is obviously the favorite, and I think it would make sense if he went there. Not gonna lie, because they do need safety help, and I think that would make the most sense. Also, yeah, that's my prediction for that. And now let me go to that news that you don't want to hear. This is quite sad news. The starting left tackle, Andre Dillard, suffered a torn bicep, and he will miss the entire 2020 season. And now Eagles are going to have Jason Peters at right guard. But now, since he got hurt, he's going to play back at left tackle. So it's going to be an interesting season now that Brandon Brooks is gone, meaning he's injured. And then now they have Andre Dillard, who's now gone. Arib, this is a sad day. I know that now for you. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, so quick thoughts. So I believe he tore his bicep yesterday, I want to say, right? So if you had asked me on Wednesday how I felt about our offensive line, I would have felt way worse about it than what I feel right now. So you might be like, why? Because you lost your starting left tackle. But dude, everything I heard from practice, Andre Dillard's he's been dealing with an injury, first of all, and that's probably what contributed to his bicep injury. But second of all, he was just not playing well. He was getting beat by like seventh round bums. There's a guy named Joe Osman who's a defensive end. He's literally like an undrafted free agent, and he got beat so bad that by this undrafted free agent, and mind you, Andre Dillard is a first-round talent. He was drafted in the first round, that he fell and he landed on Carson Wentz's knee. And, that he could have ended our season right there and then and there if, in practice by getting beat by some no-name bum. So this is obviously not a good sign for Andre Dillard. Like, we drafted him to be the Jason Peters replacement, and here we are. But I'm feeling way more secure with Jason Peters at left tackle than I would at Andre Dillard at right tackle. And I feel more secure with Matt Pryor, who's going to fill in for right guard, than I was at Jason Peters playing right guard, because he's never played the position before. Like, he's switching sides completely. He's switching from the exterior to the interior of the line. So, like, starter wise, like, yeah, I'd love to have Brandon Brooks here. I'd love to have Andre Dillard playing and giving him some reps. But if you had asked me Friday or Wednesday to right now, which is Friday, like, which O-line I think is better starting wise, I'd take the O-line right now. Now, the really concerning thing is tackle wise, our backup tackle is behind Lane Johnson, who's also dealt with injury, and he hasn't practiced in the last 5 days, according to what I've heard. And behind them, you have Prince Tegowanego from Auburn. You have I'm forgetting his name, but it's Jack Driscoll from Auburn, the other Auburn tackle. And then you have the project player in Jordan Mailata, who's just also been a bum. Like, he's been getting beat all the time. And it's just really worrisome. So expect the Eagles to sign a veteran offensive lineman, or maybe even trade for one using a late round pick, because the depth on our offensive line is pure doo-doo. So right now, if I'm looking at the Eagles, my biggest worry is offensive line, because if you can't protect Carson Wentz, then I don't really have faith in him, A, staying healthy for an entire year if he's taking shots all the time, and B, like, we've had a great offensive line, and our offense has been pretty good because of it the last few years, and it's something we've taken for granted. So overall, I like our starters more now than I did like 2 days ago, but I'm way more worried about our depth now than I was before.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think this is definitely a big blow, but I think the Eagles are bouncing back. I mean, they've had a bunch of injury problems the past, like, multiple seasons, like 3, 4 seasons. They've had multiple injury problems, and I feel bad for them because they're like the more unlucky team out of all the other teams in the NFL. They'll definitely bounce back. I don't think it'll be a major setback for Carson Wentz in the offense. So yeah. And just one last thing I want to touch right before we enter the news. What are your thoughts on Josh Gordon getting signed by the 49ers?
He didn't, though, did he? Because I thought
No.
that was like a rumor, like they wanted him to get signed. Because according to JPA Football, I think
Yeah,
Josh Gordon posted a picture with the Niners.
yeah,
But
he
he hasn't
did. Yeah, I said,
confirmed.
what are your thoughts on if that happened? Yeah. Like,
Well, they need a replacement for Emmanuel Sanders. They did draft Brandon Ayuk. They do have Dante Pettis, but they lost. Who did they lose to, like, an Achilles tear this year? Who was really good
Debo.
last year? Debo,
Debo.
yes. I'm so bad with names, but they lost Debo. He's a great gimmick guy, and he was just a great overall, like,
Great Super
for that
Bowl
team.
performance.
Yeah, he's just he's a baller, and they lost him. So Josh Gordon's not going to fill that role, but I feel like Brandon Ayuk will probably help fill that role a little bit more. So if you can get a Josh Gordon, you can have, I wouldn't say a true wide receiver one, because Josh Gordon isn't a true wide receiver one anymore, but you're getting a pretty solid player.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I have the same thoughts for that too. I think Josh Gordon to the Niners would be nice, but I heard Debo Samuel's already started. He's 100% cleared to run, so I think
Ooh, hell, a
that
quick recovery.
that's a quick recovery. I think he probably won't be playing to start the regular season, but I can see him coming back by like week 3, week 4, or so like that. But yeah, that's all that we have for news, and now we'll go into the over unders for the NFC teams.
Yeah. So before we get into it, every website has different odds. Like Las Vegas, you have, like, locally we have Parks Casino, which does a lot of the odds here. But the website we're using is OddShark. So don't come at us if you're like, oh, the Arizona Cardinals actually have a 7 over and under win total according to blah 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 website. Now we're using OddShark, so if you don't like it, you can whatever, deal with it. Anyway, so we're gonna start with the NFC South, right? That's what we said.
Yeah, we said we'd start with the South.
Okay, so you can start with it, Amal. Go for it.
Yeah, so to start with, we have probably the least likely team to win the NFC South, the Carolina Panthers. They're right now projected the win totals 5.5 games, which I believe is tied with the Redskins. Oh no, Jacksonville does actually. My bad. We'll go into that later. But they're tied second for the lowest win total for the NFL season. And I think they go under, not going to lie, for this win total. Their schedule looks awful. And their offense, they do have a new QB, so we'll see how that goes. They have a new coach, too. They have the Baylor coach. We'll see how that goes as well. But, yeah, I'm not very optimistic with this Panthers team right now. That, too, losing Luke Kuechly. Yeah, no. I lost all hope for them. So I'm going under 5 wins.
Okay, so like you said, the over-under is 5.5 wins. So if we were to go over, it'd be 6 wins or more. I don't see this team winning 6 games, period. So they have a new coach. Like you said, they signed Baylor's Matt Rule. They have a new head coach. Oh, no, sorry, I already said that. They have a new QB in Teddy Bridgewater. They have a new offensive coordinator in – I think they signed Joe Brady from the LSU Tigers after Joe Burrow's like breakout year. I believe they have a new defensive coordinator as well, and they have almost an entirely new starting defense. Because I don't know if you remember, but I believe they were the first team ever to spend all their picks on defensive players in the draft, and that's what they did in the 2020 draft. So essentially, they have a ton of just rookies playing defense back there. It's just a whole lot of new, and especially with, they've had 3 weeks of total practice before jumping into games. I'm just not seeing it. So I'm definitely going under here. I'm smashing the under because I just don't see them winning more than 5 games. Like their offense, paper-wise, it's pretty talented. Like I think DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, those guys are going to have huge years, like at least fantasy-wise. But just chemistry-wise, I just see way too much that can go wrong here. And also just if you look at Matt Rule's time in Baylor and in Temple, where he coached before, usually the first year of his rebuilds, the teams are just not good. So I'm just going to stick with that trend in the NFL as well.
Yeah, well said. I think that's accurate. All right, let's move on to the next team. This is the team that's the second lowest in the NFC South, and that is the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons are projected to get rid of Austin Hooper, but it's okay because they got Hayden Hurst now to replace him. So Matt Ryan still has that tight end weapon. The only Calvin Ridley's only going to get better from now, and they have the legend, the best receiver in football, in Julio Jones. And I'm expecting their defense to also be healthy this year. Knock on wood, because they've also been very unlucky with the injury bug for like the past 2 seasons. So that's going to be interesting. They had 7 wins last year, and they had a really slow start last year too. I don't know if you remember that. They were like really bad.
Yeah, they were like 1-7 or something like that.
Yeah, and they still managed to get out 7 wins to end the season, and they were in the playoff hunt somehow until like the last 2 weeks. It didn't make any sense. And now they're projected. The reason I don't have them going like extremely higher is because their division's quite stacked. They'll get the 2 wins definitely from the Panthers. They may split with the other 2 teams in their division, but their schedules, I think it's one of the hardest in the league for sure. Yeah, I'm not ready to hop on the Falcons bandwagon yet. I think 8-8's reasonable. 9-7 is also reasonable. I think they'll be a strong contender for the 7th seed in the playoffs for sure. That's my thoughts on the Falcons.
So you're going over, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So you hit on a lot of stuff I wanted to hit on. So I don't think people remember, but last year Dan Quinn relinquished like defensive playing call duties to I'm forgetting who their defensive coordinator is, but he relinquished his play calling duties to him. And so after that, so total on the year, they allowed there were 20 seconds in points per game allowed, and that's 24.9 points per game allowed. But from the second half onwards, they allowed 18.6 points per game, which was ranked 5th in the league, and that was actually better than elite defenses like the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. So the second half of the year, they were not allowing anywhere near as many points. So that's just really concerning if I'm Dan Quinn, because obviously I want to have my job. And like, what are you adding to the team if you're not even being a good defensive play caller? It's extremely worrisome. But on the flip side, like you said, like they're over under 7.5 wins. I think it's going to smash the over as well here because, again, the offense, Julio Jones, you have Calvin Ridley, Matt Ryan, you have Todd Gurley, and whatever corpse of Todd Gurley you have left. But you have Todd Gurley there. You have, I think people are forgetting, but they lost like 2 of their rookie offensive linemen like really early in the year, like the first 2 weeks. Like they lost, I think it was, I'm not going to even try to remember the names, but they lost both the rookies they drafted in the first round. I think Caleb McGarry was his name, or at least the tackle, and they lost both of them like really early. So their offensive line was already struggling, and the defense got even more banged up when they lost players like, who's the linebacker on that team? I'm blanking out again, bro. I'm so bad with names today, but
Keanu Neal.
Yeah, Keanu Neal. They lost Keanu Neal. They lost Deion Smith as well, I believe, right? That's his name. And
Deion Jones.
Deion Jones. Bro, what is wrong with me today? This is some A-tier content right here. I can't remember anyone's names. Anyway, I just think if the defense is closer to the second half of the year than it was the first half of the year, they're going to win at least 8 games. So smash the over there. I think this team is probably like a 9-7 team, just talent-wise.
Yeah, I think talent-wise 9-7. Yeah, 8-8 or 9-7 for sure. And they could easily go over that. Depends how Matty Ice carries that offense, and if Todd Gurley comes back to full health. But yeah, they do have a start. They do have a rough start to begin the season. They do face the Seahawks, Cowboys, and the Packers in their first 4 weeks. So yeah, that's going to be rough. But we'll see how it goes. They're definitely a team to watch out for. And the next team in the NFC South is the new team that's in the hype, that's very hyped up, I should say, or I consider overhyped, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They had 7 wins last year, and now this year they're projected at 9.5 over under. So with this team, I genuinely am surprised with how high they're projected right now. I mean, they think Tom Brady's gonna play at a superstar level, and I don't know. He does have great weapons, and I heard Gronk is back to his normal self apparently, according to Bruce Arians. I mean, it's quite. I don't know what to say. I don't know why they're so high though. 9.5 wins. That means they're projecting that they'll get it's over unders 10 or 9. I'll be honest, I think they'll go over. I think they get to 10, but I don't know if it'll go above that. I'll be honest. Yeah, that's my take on it. They have a great offense. Defense is underrated, but it still needs work. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
I kind of agree with you on that. Like that, if you look at a team like the Packers, who they made the NFC Championship last year, they're over under spoiler. I believe it's 9 games. So it's just kind of shocking that they're projected more wins than a team like the Packers, who again they literally made the NFC Championship game last year. But I agree with you. Over, I'm not necessarily. Actually, I'm gonna smash the over for a few reasons. First of all, the Jameis Winston, man, 35 turnovers, like in one season, that's unheard of. Like 30 picks in one season, also unheard of. Tom Brady hasn't thrown 30 picks in the last 4 seasons combined. Like you need to add a few games from, I believe, his 2015 season to even hit that mark, which is like literally remarkable. And you're just I've said it multiple times on the show, but you're going to put the defense on less negative game strips. The defense was better than people think. They have a lot of good young talent, Shaquille Barrett, They drafted on Antoine Winfield, the safety out of Minnesota, who I'm really high on. Vita Vea, Shaquille Barrett, Devin White, Carlton Davis, Levante David. Like, they just have some really nice defensive players there. And if the defense can stay healthy, I don't see how they lose more than 6 games. Like 10 games for me is a given. I don't think they're going to win the division. I think the Saints are going to win the division. Spoiler again, but the Saints are the best team here. But I definitely think the Bucs are going to win more games, and they're probably going to go 10-6. And I think they're going to probably secure a wild card spot pretty easily.
Yeah, at the beginning, I remember we talked about like record predictions earlier in the year. I was quite skeptical about the Bucs because I mean they're a new team altogether. You don't know how they're gonna turn out. But more and more in getting into it, I mean at the beginning I didn't even think I had them in the playoffs. Now I think their team's really starting to set in shape. They made some great draft picks. They even got Shady McCoy too. Yeah. Should be interesting. Yeah, I think they'll go. I think 10 wins is also a given for them though. But 9.5 wins over under is high though. That's high.
Yeah, I don't think their over and under should be above a team like the Packers, but I think I wouldn't be surprised. Actually, I would be surprised, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go like 11-5. Like, I think that's probably their ceiling, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happened.
So the next team we have is who we think is going to win it. The New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints are projected at 10.5 wins. Last year they had 13 wins. 10.5 wins over under. I'm with you. I'm gonna. This is definitely an over for me. I have them at 12 wins. There's no really an explanation needed. Drew Brees is the man, and they do have Jameis Winston as a backup QB this time. Taysom Hill, gadget player, was the best player in the playoff game for them. They still have MT, and I'm hearing news recently that Traquan Smith is going to have a breakout year this year. I'm looking forward to that. Definitely want to see that. I think Alvin Kamara is going to bounce back. He did not have the best year per se last year. So yeah, and their defense definitely got better too. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Saints team, but I think the Bucs will give them a run for their money. Same with the Falcons, but yeah, I like the Saints this year. How about you?
Yeah, I'm already marking down at least one loss to the Falcons because that's just a given every year. But if you look at their last 3 seasons, 13 wins, 11 wins. So they've just been popping the last 3 seasons. And I don't know if you realized, but math-wise, 13, 11, that adds up to more than 10.5 wins. So I'm also going over. Drew Brees, he drops off at the end of every season, at least the last 2 seasons. I'd say he's not as good as he was like in September and October, but he's still Drew Brees. It is slightly concerning that his yards per attempt are dropping every single year, but that's just what's going to happen with age. This is probably his last season. So I hope he can go out and make a deep run in the playoffs. But just if you look at their additions, Emmanuel Sanders, Cesar Ruiz in the draft to replace Max Unger, who just retired, Malcolm Jenkins, Janoris Jenkins. I only see like positive additions. I don't really see much any huge losses. And if you look at like a player like Marcus Davenport, who I think is going to be their like blow up player of the year, I think he's going to definitely break out this year. I only see positivity. So I think 12 wins, I agree with you. That's a given for them.
Yeah, I think another rookie I think you may have forgotten. I was really high on him. I know you were. Zach Bond, the outside linebacker out of Wisconsin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think he's going to bring a lot of versatility to that defense. That was a great pick. He was picked actually in like the 3rd round. I don't know how he fell that far, but yeah, I like the Saints picks. Cesar Ruiz was also a great. He's going to be a great center in the league. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Saints team. So now we're going to move on to the NFC West. The NFC West, in my opinion, is the most And let's see here. They did add Kyler Murray. They did add new weapons for Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. That was a big add. They did get rid of David Johnson, and now Kenyon Drake's the sole running back one. So that's all positives. They did have a great first round pick. They took what's his face? They took Isaiah Simmons. Yeah, that was a good first round pick as well. Yeah, I think they'll go. Damn, this is hard. They had 5 wins last year. I think they go over. I think they go slightly over. I think they go 8-8. So yeah, I'll barely take that take. I wouldn't bet on it, but I think they go over.
I also wouldn't bet on it. So I agree with you. Just ever so slightly, 8-8. I feel like I don't know if you watched the Brett Coleman video on the Cardinals defense, but he's really high on them bouncing back. I'm not as high, but I think the addition to Isaiah Simmons can only help you. And when it comes down to it, if you want to win games, first thing we need to do is have a good QB. Second thing, have a good head coach. And I think they have both of those. So I just think if Kyler Murray is going to break out the way I think he is going to break out, then he's just, they're given to probably have 7 to 8 wins. So I wouldn't bet on it, but I'd just go ever so slightly over.
Yep, same here. I think it's a very risky take, I'd say, for sure. So next up for me is our friend's favorite team. I don't know why, the Los Angeles Rams. They're projected at 9 wins. They had 9 wins last year. They were quietly had 9 wins. Nobody really noticed them, even though they made the Super Bowl the previous year. They seem quite irrelevant to me, mainly because Todd Gurley was hurt, which I guess makes sense. He was playing hurt, I should say, and now they're projected at 9 wins. I think they go under this time. I don't think they'll reach the 9 wins. I think the Rams are now the worst team in the NFC West. I think they'll go under 9 wins for sure. I think that's a bet that you should take, because I definitely can't see them getting over 9 wins. There's not a chance they win over 9 games. I can't see that. I definitely cannot see them get 10 games. No way. So I don't even need to go into depth on the team. There's just it's not possible. It's simply not possible. They lost Brandon Cook. They lost Todd Gurley. It's not possible, Reed. You cannot convince anyone on this earth to make that bet. You can't. You cannot. You
Expert analysis by Mr. Amal Ronek here on the Fleaflicker podcast.
I'm telling you, you don't make this bet. Please don't make this bet. It's 9 wins. They can't get 10 wins, Reed. They can't. Under 9 wins.
I agree with you. I agree with you on don't bet on this at all. But I'd also probably I might honestly go push, to be honest. Just forget over under. I think they could maybe win 9 games, and I think I can trust Sean McVay enough.
I'm okay with that, but the over under is at 9, bro.
I disagree with that for sure. Here's my bold take for you, Amal. Okay, so or a hypothetical scenario. Couldn't you see Sean McVay go out there, completely fix the offense, revitalize it? 2 tight end sits with Tyler Higbee and Gerald Everett. They have Robert Woods. They have Cooper Kupp coming back from injury, I believe. I think there's the scenario where their offense rebounds back to 2017, 2018 LA Rams offense. And even though I think the lack of defensive depth is pretty huge, I mean, they don't really have anyone outside of Aaron Donald at this point. They lost Dante Fowler to, I believe, the Falcons, and they also lost they lost a linebacker whose name I literally cannot remember right now, but they lost him also to, I believe, the Giants. Don't quote me on this, but they lost a ton of players on the defense. But I think there's definitely a hypothetical scenario where I see them, they go back to scoring 27 points a game, and every game's like a shootout because their defense sucks. I could definitely see that happening, but don't bet on this. Over under, I'm just going to take the push here because I think I trust Sean McVay enough for them to win 9 games, but I don't think they're winning anymore.
Yeah, I agree with that. That makes sense to me as well. Was the linebacker you're talking about by any means, was it Corey Littleton?
Yeah, dude, I'm so bad
Yeah,
with
he's
names.
on the Raiders now.
Raiders, okay.
Yeah. But
He's a good linebacker too. But I mean, they should have tried to keep him, but obviously with the Joe and Ramsey extension coming soon, they don't have enough money to do any of that.
yeah.
Just in general, the way they built their team is so bad, bro.
I don't know what they're doing, man. How do you go from? It pisses me off that you go from Super Bowl final. They almost won. They didn't even score that. They barely scored, but they almost won. It's so sad. They had the chance to win. They almost won the game. To being so trash the following year, they didn't make the playoffs. I can't. I don't understand it, man. I simply don't.
Some expert team building down there, or I guess out to the west with the LA Rams. They just traded away all their future picks and then gave away huge money for no reason.
Do you think the Cardinals are better than the Rams?
Offensively,
yeah, definitely.
I think offensive weapons, like everything outside of Kyler Murray, I would take the Rams. But defensively, I'd probably take the Cardinals. So really the only thing on the offense I think that's better, I'd take Sean McVay over Cliff Kingsbury because Sean McVay has done it before. And I'll take the entire Rams offense other than Jared Goff. But that's the biggest hole right there. Kyler Murray, bro. Kyler Murray's.
I'm taking Hopkins over any player on the Rams offense too.
I just think as a whole unit, I'd prefer, I think, just slightly. And also offensive line. Like the Cardinals' offensive line's bad.
I think, yeah, that makes sense. But Kyler Murray is also.
I think Kyler Murray can be that much better than Jared Goff, where that difference in talent doesn't matter.
That's exactly, yeah. But the defense, yeah, the Rams do have a better defense. I think it's very slight difference. I think the Rams are slightly better. I did say that they were the worst team, but now looking at it, I think they might be slightly better. But I think it's very even. Yeah.
I agree with you, actually, that this could very well be the closest division of football this year. Because, I mean, we're going to talk about the Seahawks and Niners, but I think we both had them being great teams, and we had the Rams and Cardinals being at least pretty good average teams, right?
Average,
so
yeah.
And I think both those teams can give the Niners and Seahawks a run for the money. Like we saw the Cardinals literally, I think, go into Seattle and beat the Seahawks, and we saw them almost beat the Niners as well as the Rams. We almost saw them beat the Niners late in the season. So I don't know. I think both those teams can really give a good run for the money for both those teams.
Yeah, agreed. Next team we'll go with the Seattle Seahawks. They're okay. Yeah, this is why it pisses me off that the Rams are at 9. Right? The Seattle Seahawks are also at 9. Just saying. They're both at 9, and the Bucs are at 9.5. Just like this absolutely pisses me off. I'm not even a Seahawks fan. I don't like the Seahawks. But, like, you can't be making bets like these, man. Like, this is an easy – give me this, man. This is, like, a slam dunk. I'm doing –
It's free money, bro.
There's no reason I'm going in depth on why. I'm not going to go in depth. They're going over 9 wins. And if you watch football, you'll know why they'll go over 9 wins. And I think unless Russell Wilson, like, dies, there's no way. There's no way. I can't see it.
Don't be jinxing this, bro. We just had Kobe die. We had Chadwick Boseman pass away earlier. Don't be jinxing. Like, knock on wood, pray to God, do whatever you want, but don't be jinxing that, man.
No, I can't.
So anyway, yeah, no analysis really needed here. The Seahawks suck, but Russell Wilson's probably going to win MVP this year. I think that's going to be my MVP pick. When we do our MVP and Coach of the Year and all that award show later, I think we can probably do that in the next week. That will be coming out soon. But when we do that, spoiler alert, Russell Wilson's my MVP. He's literally he's right up there with Patrick Mahomes for being the 2 best quarterbacks in football, and it's not even close. So, yeah, Russell Wilson is entering.
I appreciate you saying up there with Patrick Mahomes. I appreciate that you put.
Well, I think
you
he's
gave
better
Mahomes
than
the
Patrick
respect.
Mahomes, but it's
Yeah,
like they're
give him the respect.
interchangeable for me.
Also, fun fact: Russell Wilson has not gotten a single MVP vote in the 8 years he's been playing in the National Football League.
And he's been an MVP candidate since like
He's-
2016 or 2015.
And he's been an MVP candidate honestly since they won the Super Bowl. I'll be honest. He's been a killer. Yeah, I like Russell Wilson. I never hated him. I just don't like the Seahawks. So yeah, but this is an easy bet. 9 wins. The next we have the Super Bowl runner-ups, the winners of the NFC, the San Francisco 49ers, who I think are the best team in the NFC still. They're projected at 10.5 wins, and they have 13 wins last year. I think Jimmy G doesn't lose in the regular season, so they'll get at least 11 wins just off that. Jimmy G's my man, though. He's my man. I like him. So I'm gonna go 11 wins here.
Okay, so I'm gonna play some devil's advocate for you.
The reasoning doesn't make any sense. What I just said, by the way, like I didn't mention at all that they lost Emmanuel Sanders. I didn't mention that Deebo Samuel's hurt. I didn't mention
they traded away DeForest Buckner to your Colts.
Yep, I didn't have to mention that they got Kinlaw though.
You could be high on Kinlaw, but I don't think he's going to come in and immediately be a DeForest Buckner. Like at least not his first year.
Yeah, I agree. But Jimmy G is the man. Their defense is still OP. Yeah, this is definitely they'll get at least 11 points.
Okay, so devil's advocate, right? So let's look back at so we'll go back to the 2018 Rams, right? Guess what? Super Bowl disappointment, the Super Bowl hangover. 2017 Eagles, like everyone, like I'm a huge Eagles fan. I was at the parade. I'm like, yo, we're going to be a dynasty. We're probably going to, make it multiple NFC championship games or at least, make the playoffs like easily. Here we are going 9-7. Like we made the playoffs, but boom, we're not really doing anything. Let's flash back to the 2016 Falcons. Also, another. They played pretty well, so I wouldn't say they had a Super Bowl hangover. But
bro, they got robbed. Come on, dude, Julio. They basically beat the Eagles, man. Stop it.
We're gonna forget this happened. So we'll move on to the 2015 Panthers. Okay, 2015 Panthers, they sucked. 2014 Seahawks, they were like pretty good, but they also disappointed. Like they started off really bad, I believe.
They went to back-to-back Super Bowls though.
Yeah, after that, like everyone expected them to be like really good in 2015, and they disappointed.
The Legion of Boom broke up though. They all broke up though.
Well, not then, but okay. But anyway, my point is the last like 5 years, at least 3 of the NFC teams have all had Super Bowl hangovers. So just devil's advocate, it's not a tangible thing, but it's a very real thing for all NFC teams. The Super Bowl hangover is real. I don't think it impacts the Niners, though, because the Niners are that good. So
yeah,
everything I just said, disregard it, but also keep it in the back of their mind if you look back in December and they're like 8-8.
If you're a superstitious bettor, I'd bet under. But just going off
logically, there's no reason.
Logically, there's zero reason why they can't get 11. And don't get me wrong. There's 6 teams there's 6 games they can definitely lose in this season. There's definitely, but it's the Niners, man. They'll get it done. And Shanahan's the man. I was gonna say
you almost
goat,
said Shanahan's the GOAT, so thank you for not saying that.
I almost said that. Well, he's like the offensive mastermind though. So I will not say GOAT, but he's an offensive genius. So yeah. We're finished with the NFC West now. We'll move on to the NFC. North. Yeah, your favorite teams in the North too. The good old Green Bay Packers.
Bro, I hate you.
But we'll start with the worst team in the NFC North. In my opinion, the Detroit Lions. You made a water bet this year. You're gonna get water poured on you for saying they'd go at least 500. You will get water poured on you, and I'm gonna dump the ice cold water on you for this. They're projected at 6.5 wins. They're gonna go under that. They'll go 4-12 in my opinion. And there's nothing else to say because Matt Patricia is a stupid coach. But I am a fan of Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford's a really good QB. Kenny Golladay is a great receiver. He helped my fantasy team a lot last year. Yeah, DeAndre Swift is a great running back, but they're going to be splitting carries with the Kerryon Johnson. But yeah, 6.5 wins is definitely going to be an under for me. But
I'm going over.
You have to go over.
Well, yeah, obviously. But here's some statistic evidence, okay? So with Stafford, they're 3-4-1, right? So they would have gone long term, not disregarding the tie. We'll say the tie was a loss. They would have gone 6-10, right? 6-9-1, whatever. They were 12th in points per game with Stafford, and they have the 11th best offensive line according to PFF this last year. And they're returning three offensive linemen. They're bringing in Big V, Halapoulivaati Vaitai from the Eagles. They overpaid him. Yeah, they did. But he's a pretty good swing tackle. So, he's a good player to have. And I just think defensively, they lost Darius Slay. But Darius Slay checked out last year. There was a reason he wasn't as good. They got Jeff Okudah. Jeff Okudah can be as good. And yeah, Matt Patricia's doo-doo, bro. But I just talent-wise, they signed so many ex-Patriots players. They got Jamie Collins. They have Duron Harmon. They have Trey – I'm forgetting his name again. Trey Flower, yeah. He was a pretty good player for the Patriots. And I just think they brought in more talent than I think they lost. And even though Matt Patricia's doo-doo, I think they're going to go I won't retract my 8-8 statement for you for the bet, but I think they'll probably talent-wise, they're like a 7-8 win team. So I could very easily see them win 7-8 games and surprise everyone. And so I'm going to bet over, but I could also, see them go 3-12 or 3-13.
Well,
Matt Patricia getting fired. So
yeah, Matt Patricia, yeah.
I will bet over just because I trust Matt Stafford and the talent more than I trust Matt Patricia. So I'll go with talent defaulting over him. But again, Matt Patricia sucks. So that's my entire argument with the Detroit Lions. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team, but I think they're going to be fighting with every game that they're in. So watch out for the Lions.
Yeah. Next team I want to talk about is my family's favorite team, the Chicago Bears.
Boo.
They're at 8.5. What the hell? They're at 8.5 wins. What the? They're projected to get what? What? Am I reading this right? Already? Does that say 8.5 wins?
My notes say 8 wins, but the website says 8.5 wins, and this was updated pretty recently. As in yesterday.
Yeah. Wait a minute. What the?
So
8.5. This is an easy. All right. I mean, I'm sorry to break it to my family. This is an easy under. Easy under. They got work. I mean, because David Montgomery hasn't. In my opinion, he's a bust.
Mitch he also has a groin injury that he had 2 days ago.
Yeah, and then he may not even start the beginning of the season. Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles, that QB situation hasn't been figured out yet. There's reports saying Mitch is playing really well. There's reports saying that Nick Foles is also playing very well. I have zero clue who's going to win that job. And honestly, the winner of that job, it really doesn't matter. I think the Bears are going to suck regardless. And if Foles wins the job, Trubisky is going to probably be a great backup QB for another team. This 8.5 wins is high, man. It's really high. If Trubisky plays at a Pro Bowl level, it's not a real Pro Bowl, but I mean, he played pretty well 2 years ago. If he plays at that level, and the Bears' weapons pan out, I guess I can see over, but nah. I think they'll go under 8.5. They'll probably get 7 to 8 wins.
Okay, so Amal, don't look at your screen right now, right? How many games did the Bears win last year?
They won 8 games.
9 games. So that's automatically over.
Oh, they won 9 games last year?
Yeah, man. With Mitch Trubisky. So anyway, my argument, I'm going over, and my argument is entirely based on the defense being really
You
good.
think they
And
go 9-7?
I think they could easily go 9-7. And I think
Wow.
that's because, dude, their defense is literally top 5. So they were 4th in points allowed per game, 18.6. They were 8th in yards allowed per game, and they were lacking the sack department. Like they were like top 5 in pressures in like every single website I could find. But just sacks wise, they weren't really finishing, and like you expect them to finish when they have like Khalil Mack. And to fix that problem, they went out and signed Robert Quinn. They brought in Danny Trevathan. So I just think they brought on a ton of talent. They drafted Jalen Johnson, who a cornerback I'm really high on. They also drafted Cole Kmet because the iconic
What's it, because of what? Because of what? Why did they draft
because
Cole Kmet?
because unfortunately the iconic tight end who was part of the Philly special is just not good with Chicago at all. So
He's
rest
now
in
on the Colts now.
peace.
He's now on the Colts now. Trey Burns now on the Colts. Let's
Trey
go,
Burns
baby.
on the Colts. That's actually
Yeah.
shocking.
Yeah. And also, the Bears won 8-8.
They have Jimmy Graham as well.
The Bears went in. Yeah, Jimmy Graham. Yeah, come on, bro. Come on. No. Do you know how many tight ends are on the Bears right now? There's like 6 tight ends on the Bears active roster. It's
That's
pretty
ridiculous.
crazy. Yeah. During draft time they had 8. Yeah. The Bears have some work to do, man. That I definitely think they're gonna go under 8.5. And the Bears did go 8-8 last year.
Also, yeah, you fact checked me. I was wrong. I literally have 8-8 up here. I don't know why I thought it was 9 wins. But anyway, I'm gonna go over just because I think if either Nick Foles is gonna go out and he's gonna play good because he's already worked with Matt Nagy before, or it's gonna be Trubisky and he's gonna be pushed by Nick Foles and he'll play good. And even if Trubisky's doo-doo, like I just think the talent is there for them to probably win some like 17-13 games that they probably shouldn't win. Also, to start off the season, they start off with like the Lions, Giants, Panthers, Rams, Falcons. Like those teams
Those
aren't
are
really
all
like
easy. Those are all
like
easy wins.
like the Falcons could probably be like a tough game, but like I could easily see them win if they just start feasting on that bad offensive line of the Falcons. So I just think they could start off like 5-3, like realistically, if they like really popped off, or maybe even 6-2 if I could see them beat a team like the Colts, like for sure. So I think if they get off to a hot start, you can you can see some like 2018 Chicago Bears stuff. So I'm gonna bet over, but I could also see them winning like 6 games and them releasing Trubisky after the season. So just you got a wide range of outcomes with Chicago Bears.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't be surprised if they go over too, because they're that type of team. Well, yeah, last team is Green Bay Packers, who I think they're a top 10 team in the league right now. They had 13 wins last year, 13-3, and right now because of their really crappy first round picks, they're not first round pick. Their draft in general was really crap. It was really really bad. But just because of that, that's got to be the only reason. They're now projected at 9 wins in total. I think they'll definitely go over 9 wins. They'll get 10 wins. I think they'll get 10 or 11 wins. Because I mean, Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he's that bad man. So, yeah, I think they'll get at least 10 wins. There's nothing much more to add. But screw these guys that pick Jordan Love, man. I'm getting reports saying that he's trash. I cannot. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. These guys want to put crap on dirt on Aaron Rodgers' name, man. Like he didn't win them a Super Bowl. I'm very disappointed that they picked him. When they could pick receivers from Denzel Mims was there, Michael Pittman Jr. was there. They traded up for the pick. It didn't make any sense, man. They could have high key gotten him in the second round. I don't think any team would have taken him to end that round. I mean, awful decision making by Packers management. But yeah, they'll go over 9 wins.
Okay, my second MVP pick is Aaron Rodgers this year.
Shut up.
Yeah, but behind Russell Wilson.
Shut up. up, man.
Aaron
You're not
Rodgers
gonna
is about
shut
to feast, bro. So
up.
I have a ton of stats here, but I don't feel like going into them. Like I just
Don't
have.
no, no. There's no need to. It's
But
Aaron
anyway, second year in an
Rodgers.
offensive system, they were really good. Their defense was like, I think it was the best in the league, or like top 3 or something like that
It
in
was
pressures.
very good, very
They were
impressive.
really good, like minimal. They didn't blitz at all, and they had like a really high pressure rate. Like I think I'm seeing here 38.6% of their uh, pass rushing attempts were, pressures or whatever, which is kind of high. They had a ton of turnovers, forced turnovers rather, lots of rushing touchdowns. I just think Aaron Rodgers, intangibly, he's gonna pop off. He's probably gonna win 11 games, and he's probably just gonna win a Super Bowl just to spite the Packers organization for drafting Jordan Love and starting a huge QB controversy. Because why would you want to release Aaron Rodgers to let him go when you have, when he just won a Super Bowl? So, yeah, Packers are going to win a Super Bowl this year. Mark my words.
Shut up, man. Come on, man.
Over. I'm smashing the over. They're going to win 11 games easily.
I'm going to make sure every Eagles fans listen to this podcast, man. This is disrespectful. And now we're about to head into the NFC East division.
Well, I'm not rooting for the Packers. Obviously, I'm rooting for the Eagles.
Yeah,
but I just think the spite of Aaron Rodgers is going to literally roast the entire league.
Aaron Rodgers more than once, man. It's very, very clear to see.
Fine.
Well, very clear.
That's not true completely.
No,
Aaron Rodgers is probably my favorite player of the decade. So yeah, I'd agree with you on that.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, we'll move on to the NFC East, which is, in my opinion,
no. You forgot a team, bro. You forgot the Vikings. Don't disrespect Mike Zimmer like that.
Oh damn! I did forget the Vikings. I'm high on the Vikings too, man. I have they're projected at 9 wins right now. Over
tied
9
with the
wins.
Packers.
Oh, that is interesting. I think they go 10-6 as well. So I think they go over, and I think it's mainly because they did lose Stephon Diggs. I think and they did lose Xavier Rhodes to the Colts. But I think everything's going to work out for them still. Because they got Justin Jefferson in the first round. Yeah, and they got Trey Waynes, I believe, still there.
No, he signed with I believe. Well, he signed with Cincinnati, but he got hurt. So I believe he's like on IR for them or something like that.
Yeah. I'm blanking on so many names today, man.
Everson Griffin, Mackenzie Alexander also went to Cincinnati. The biggest, I have 5 names here that they lost: Stephon Diggs, Xavier Rhodes, Trey Waynes, Mackenzie Alexander, Everson Griffin. I believe they lost Linval Joseph last year, but
yeah, they lost him last year. Yeah, I remember that.
So, just overall,
they went 10-6 last year. Actually, then I think they go. I don't think they'll go. They'll go under. They'll stay at the 9 wins. Actually, I'll push it at 9.
Okay. Their defense was really good. 5th in takeaways with 31. They were 5th in sacks as well. Danier Hunter is a madman there.
He's a monster. He's a monster, man. He gets sacked.
He's like, I think he's gonna end up like Chandler Jones, where he's like perennially underrated because he's just like in some obscure corner of the country, but he's like a baller. So weapons. They lost Stephon Diggs. They drafted Justin Jefferson, who I'm probably going to do a film review on soon, just to make myself feel good about the Joe and Rager pick even more. Justin Jefferson is a Stephon Diggs, but he's not going to be as good in his first year. Like, that's just obvious. Secondary wise, right? So my biggest worry on the defense is the secondary. First of all, Xavier Rhodes sucks. So I think Jeff Gladney, who they drafted from TCU, can come in.
He was a great pick.
Immediate improvement. They still have Anthony Harris. They still have
Anthony Harris is on the trade block though, Reba.
Yeah, but I think he'll play, bro. I think he'll play with the Vikings because I believe there's going to be less trades this year than there were normally because of COVID. So I just think in general, like, you're not going to want to bring in some random person from another person's building from some like half away across the country. But I think Anthony Harris will say they still have Harrison there playing whatever he plays. You know, he's probably Is he a Hall of Famer? I don't know, but he has a pretty solid argument to be one. Secondary wise, I think Jeff Gladney is going to be pretty good for them, just straight out. Mike Hughes, who they drafted a couple years ago, tore his ACL his rookie year. I don't know much about him because he's been like, I don't think he's even playing like high key. But Mackenzie Alexander, that's a pretty big loss from the slot cornerback position. I don't think they really have anyone to replace him. But I just think overall, Xavier Rhodes was just so bad. I think Jeff Gladney can come in and be an immediate improvement. I think I'm going to go over. I think they're going to win 10 games because I just think Kirk Cousins is.
That's tough. It's tough. It's either 9 or 10 for me.
I think he's good enough for them to win 10 games. And I just think a coach like Mike Zimmer is probably going to win 10 games.
They won 9 games last year. They won 10 games last year. But it's just like, I don't know, man. The team got slightly worse.
So their first 8 weeks, right? So they have the Packers twice, week 1, week 8, Colts, Titans, Texans, Seahawks, Falcons, Lions. So
dude, they could lose all 3 AFC South games, bro. Not gonna lie, all 3 AFC South games would be quite.
I think they'll probably split with the Packers. Maybe they'll probably lose to the Seahawks. Probably win against the Falcons, and then the Lions, they'll probably win. I think they might end up splitting with the Lions, but just
it's a hard schedule.
You know what? I'm gonna go push as well. I think they're gonna go 9-7 because the last 4 weeks as well, they had the Bucs and Saints. So if that's like a tough start and a tough ending, I'm gonna go 9-7. I think they're gonna go 9-7 just because of hard schedule, but they're a really good team.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're a really good team. I had them at 6 entering into this year, but I didn't. That was also before the draft and after all the free agent signings. I'm definitely taking that back now. I mean, I thought the Vikings would only go up, but the Diggs trade happened. Then a bunch of stuff that like Trey Wayne's out. Yeah, I think I'll probably definitely have to take that back in my power rankings for the top 10 teams in the NFL. But I think now we're finally done with the NFC North, and now we'll move on to Reed's division in the NFC East. We'll start with, in my opinion, the weakest team, the Washington Redskins. They did draft Chase Young, which was the best player in the draft, hands down, and he's killing it in training camp. He's like manhandling the offensive lineman there. It's like butter for him.
He should.
It's light work. It's the definition of light work. I'm seeing this like these videos, bro. He's the real deal for sure. Like for sure. Yeah. Their projected win-loss. Their over/under is 5.5 games. There's no way they win 6 games. They won 3 games last year. They'll go 1 above that. I think they go 4-12. So that's my take. And they're starting. I want Alex Smith to play this year, man. If he's really that clear to play, that would be, in my opinion, the best story of football if that man can play.
Oh, hands down. Wouldn't even be close.
Going through that broken foot, that Joe Theismann injury, and then coming back from that. I watched the documentary. It was quite a.
As did I. It was pretty jarring.
It was pretty like inspirational on the journey that he's gone through. And if he could even get a snap in the game, that would just like be amazing. Because like that guy went through so much, man. And I genuinely have respect for him. But they're not called the Washington Redskins anymore. I'm stupid. I should not be calling them that. They're the Washington.
Please don't offend anyone. They're the Washington football team. I'm gonna have to bleep that out in post.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm so stupid. It says the Redskins on the betting odds. All right, fine. Yeah, they're the Washington football team. They'll win 4 games.
They should have called themselves the Washington Football Club, so we could just confuse them with like actual soccer, like Washington FC.
Facts. Yeah, facts.
Yeah, I'm going under. Like it says 5.5 wins here. If they win 5 games, it'll be like a huge improvement. I think Dwayne Haskins is gonna shock people, but just I don't know. There's too many variables.
Not enough.
I think he'll set a good foundation for year 3, but there's too many question marks and it's too many like new starts with Ron Rivera and everything. Like
So losing Geist like this late kind of hurt too, man.
also their
Antonio Gibson,
offense was literally ranked 32nd last year and they didn't change that much like drastically. You're just hoping that
Lauren
Dwayne
becomes
Haskins improves like a ton.
Lauren still becomes OP, and then Antonio Gibson and AP managed to carry.
Did
Yeah,
someone
that's
say
all.
Antonio Gibson?
Oh, Reeve, who's on your fantasy team? Who should draft?
Dude, 8th round pick, Antonio Gibson, and I'm not looking back. Anyway, this isn't a fantasy show, so let's move on to
Yeah,
the third worst team or second
yeah,
worst, the third team in the division, the Giants.
yeah. The Giants. Yeah,
The
I think,
Giants here 6.5 wins. That's what I'm seeing on this website. Um,
dude, that's an improvement. If they win 7 games, that's an improvement. They were at 4 last year. If they can get 7, damn. Yeah, I don't see it though. I think they
I
go.
think they're going under, but they're gonna win 6 games. I think.
I think they'll win 6 games as well. Dude, Danny Dimes, man. Danny Dimes was a better. Do you think Danny Dimes is a better pick than Haskins?
Um, I think Haskins. Okay, so Daniel Jones showed more to me, but I feel like he peaked like his first game and then he just sort of went sporadic up and down versus like Dwayne Haskins started off sucky and he sort of like gradually improved. So I'll take Danny Dimes just because I think you saw the highs that you didn't really see as often from Dwayne Haskins, though he did kill the Eagles in like week 15 or whatever. But I just think I think I'll take Danny Dimes by a hair, but it's still like a coin flip. Like I can't fault anyone for choosing one or another.
Yeah, I'll take Danny Dimes, but I think it's a coin flip for me too. Yeah, I think they also get 6 wins. It's a new offense though altogether. They have a new coach, new
Hmm.
offensive coordinator.
Joe
So
Judge, have you heard about the stories? He made Daniel Jones run a lap or something like that.
yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, dude, Joe Judge is interesting. That hiring itself is very interesting. We talked about that, I think, a few months back. But like, he was in my opinion, he was very irrelevant. He was a special teams coach, and now he's being the head coach of an actual
I
team.
don't think it works out.
I don't but if it does, bro, ain't that a story
I
though?
feel
Ain't
like
that
he was trying to be Bill Belichick and trying to be hard nosed and tough and everything. And I just
dude?
think it can't
Dave
work unless you're
Gettleman's a
Bill
bum.
Belichick.
I don't think it works because Dave Gettleman sucks at evaluating talent. I mean,
Well,
Daquan Barkley was such a lucky he was there at 2 and you had to take him. It was that type of pick. I mean, Darnold, in my opinion, they should have taken Darnold, but like
exactly.
you had to take the pick wouldn't have been wrong either way. Like he sucks at evaluating talent. I don't like Dave Gettleman, so I don't think Joe Judge is the truth. So yeah, that's my thoughts, John.
Yeah,
Uh,
nothing much there. We can move on to do you want to
we'll move
start with
on.
Dallas or
Yeah,
Philly?
we'll go with the Dallas Cowboys here. Dallas Cowboys, their over under is high at 9.5 wins. Uh, that's higher than the Packers. That's higher than the Seahawks. Um, that's higher than the Vikings. And yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, man. That itself, I don't know how I feel about. Um, this is, I think the past like 6 years, the Cowboys have won every other year the division, and I think the Cowboys are going to win the division this year, uh, and they'll keep that streak. So I think they'll go over 9.5 wins. I think Dak Prescott. I think he's going to have an impressive year, and he has to have an impressive year to show that he deserves to be paid as one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL, and he needs to be at least in the top 3 MVP candidates this year in order for the Cowboys to even come close to 10 wins this year. And I think I do truly believe with the addition of CeeDee Lamb and having a new coach in Mike McCarthy. Uh, he may not have been the perfect fit for Aaron Rodgers, but I think with the Dallas offense and Dak Prescott, with CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, I was underrating. I was completely like overlooking Michael Gallup when we did the wide receiver tier list, but he's a great player. I look more into him. I'm looking more at his highlights, and you're absolutely right. He's a stud too. They
Hold
have
this L, Ma.
they have three great receivers there, and they have also your guy Shannon Jarwin, Blake Jarwin. Yeah, he's gonna be. I think they're definitely a team to watch out for. I mean, I think they'll go. I think they'll go either. I think they'll go 10-6. Yeah, they'll go 10-6 and they'll win the tiebreaker. That's my take on that. I think they both go 10-6 and they'll win the tiebreaker.
So, the odds for the Cowboys when I first wrote down my notes like a week ago, they were at like 10 wins. So it's dropped down a little bit, like half a win, but they're tied with the Eagles, right? So
Yeah, they are.
my whole thing with Dallas is starter wise, I think they have better starters everywhere except quarterback, obviously, and tight end, running, and not run. I think, no, not running back, but
Wait, do what? No, Zeke's better than Sanders.
no, but as a whole, yeah, starter wise, you're right. Yeah, starter wise, Zeke is definitely better than Sanders, but depth wise, I'd take Philly. So really, the question is, who's gonna get more hurt? And I just feel like
Miles Sanders
there's no way the Eagles can get hurt 3 years in a row, bro. Actually, they've got
Bro, they just lost Brooks and
they can't get more hurt, bro. And I just feel like Dallas is one of those teams that has gotten pretty lucky injury wise. Yeah, you're betting on injuries, but so both teams are at 9-5, right? I think.
I think they both go 10-6.
I think they both go 10-6 as well. So I'm gonna hit over for both of them. But I also just don't want to bet on either of these teams because, like we've talked about it, like
dude, yeah, they both sucked last year. The Cowboys had 8 wins, the Eagles had 9 wins. I'm not they were both awful bets. The Eagles were projected at 10.5 wins last year, and they got 9. 10.5, and they got 9. That's insane. The Cowboys were projected at 9, and they got 8. 10.5 to 9 is really bad though. That's why you can't even. It's not a guaranteed bet for the Eagles at 9.5 wins either. I know you were always telling whenever we were talking with our friends and everything about like, dude, we all like all our friends are saying like, dude, 10-6 is like that's like a minimum. Dude, their minimum could be like 7-9. I'll be honest, they're that type of team right now. Like they can go anywhere. We're saying 9-7 because like they're better. The teams they're playing against, there's 9 winnable games like guaranteed that we see. But this is the same Eagles team that lost the freaking Miami Dolphins last year, and they lost to the Detroit Lions. Man, I mean, anything's possible with the teams they face. Man, they're the type of team that can beat any team, like they beat the Packers, and they can also lose to any team, like they lost to the Dolphins. So, I mean, I'll go over for both, but they're both. I will never ever take any of these bets because
I would not bet on either of these teams as well.
It's very risky. It's a high risk bet for sure.
So I think like amongst our friends, I have like the rep of being like the depressing. What do we call me? Like a Negadelphian because I'm a negative Philadelphia sports fan.
Yep, correct.
I don't know what team these like our friends are watching, but every time I watch the Eagles, I'm just depressed because like they should be like they won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They should be like making the playoffs easily.
Yes, OP. They should be. Yeah.
They should be OP. And the fact that they aren't is just like frustrating. So I just always have low hopes for the Eagles. So I'm going to bet, you know what? Actually, I'm going to bet under. I think the Eagles are going to go 9 wins. I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to go 10 wins. Just because that's just something Philly would do.
But the Eagles will make the playoffs at 9 wins.
And also, to start off early, they have the Niners, Steelers, Ravens, and Cowboys. And I'm high on 3 of those teams. I'm not high on the Cowboys, but I'm high on the other 3 of those teams. And that's like a rough starting schedule. So I think
that's their first 4 games.
I don't know if it's the first 4, but it's like within their first 8 weeks, they're facing those 4 teams.
Ouch, damn, that's hard.
Like they could easily start off 4-4.
Yeah, I have to see their schedule, dude. That's scary, man. This season's gonna. I'm actually really excited for this season.
I'm more excited for the season than I've been for any other season.
Yeah, because this is like coronavirus times, man, and like all our work's online and everything, and like it's just like there's nothing we can really watch right now. And I mean,
Exactly.
NBA, like the past couple days, there's been no sports going on because of the protesting going on, and like we've been like just like even like 3 days, bro. It's like hard to like just like stand there and like see no sports going on, and especially on the
Hmm.
Sundays, man. Sundays are the days of football, man. From 1 p.m.
Exactly, man.
Dude, Arif, don't lie to me. We've been like texting like from like 1 to like 8 many weeks, bro. We've been like maybe
Exactly,
not
dude.
constantly, but
Like,
like
what are
we
we
will
gonna
like talk
talk
about
about this week?
yeah,
Like, all
exactly.
of that.
We talk about that like almost every week, and it's been going. We do it for like 4 months, 4 to 6 months, because the playoffs. We talk about during the playoffs too. Like we love football, and I just really want to see this season work out. And nothing would make me happier if we can get the season going and get all the 17 weeks completed and the playoffs. I think the playoffs. I think if we make it through the first 17 weeks, I think the playoffs will be a breeze, and I'm pretty sure you expect the same thing too. But
Yeah, obviously. Then like 17 weeks versus like 4 weeks or whatever, 5 weeks.
I'm really only worried about the first 8 weeks. If we can get through the first 8 weeks, I think we'll be set. If we
Yeah.
can get, but yeah, I'm
You hit it, man. You hit everything. Like the first semester of school. So both me and you are starting our freshman years of college, and like just the first 4 months of football carries me through every single year, like from middle school to high school. Like the last 6 years, like football carries me like through the first like 5 months of school, and I'm just like really looking forward to it. And I think you listen to my storylines show. There's so many like fun storylines that we can like that I want to like. I'm waiting to see. Like, will Carson Wentz repeat his success? Will Aaron Rodgers pop off? Will Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson's like who will win MVP? Will Lamar Jackson keep on improving? Like, what happens with like low teams like the Cardinals and the Rams? Like, there's so many fun storylines, man. I'm just hyped for football this year.
Yeah, I'm the same. And now looking at the Eagles schedule, going back to the Eagles, yeah, their
Mm.
schedule, their first 3 games they're easy dubs. They got the Rams, but they got this Redskins to start. I think they'll win that. They got the Rams week 2. That's going to be a tough one, but I think they'll still win because it's at home. But home is going to be different, so we'll see about that. Bengals week 3. They got Niners. They're at Niners week 4, at Steelers week 5, Ravens week 6. Those 3 straight games hurt, man. And then after that, week 7 they got New York. Week 8 they got Dallas. So you're right. They have 4 like really formidable opponents here. So I think worst case they'll go 4-4. Best case they'll go 6-2. That's my opinion on that.
So here's the biggest difference between the 2017 Eagles and the 2018-2019 Eagles, right? The first half issues are so bad. So if you look at their like second half points, they're like top 10, right? In points per like the second half. But if you look at their first half points, they're 22nd. So they just get off to slow starts repeatedly, put themselves in holes against teams they shouldn't, like because they allow some nonsense touchdown to start the game and they're down by 7 immediately. Like that happened so many times this season. And that didn't happen in the Super Bowl year. The Super Bowl year, they were getting out to head starts like pretty early. So my big question with Philly is, will they fix the early starting issues that they've had in the last 2 years? Will they just started off slow? And if they can fix it, then boy, this team is something to look out for, because the defense, watch out for the Philly defense this year. It's going to be something to watch. But if the offense doesn't get up to quick starts, then it's just going to be really worrisome. So I'm just going to go under, because I think they're going to make the playoffs with the third wild card spot or whatever. But I just don't. If they can't fix that problem, then I can't say they're going to win 10 games.
Yeah. Also, their second half of the season is definitely harder, man. Maybe not like as like super scary teams, but they have like, in my opinion, 6 straight hard games. They got the like 6 like straight like difficult games. I wouldn't say like they're all winnable, but the Browns, they go against the Browns, then they go against the Seahawks, then they go against the Packers, then they go against the Saints, then they go against the Cardinals, and then they go against the Cowboys. week 11 to week 16. That's 6
Yeah,
games on
it's
the
just
road.
such a hard
All
season,
6
bro.
games, bro, are definitely winnable or losable. You know,
Mm-hmm. Well, I
like
mean,
that.
it
That's
is Philly,
crazy.
bro. They can win any game any week, but they can also lose to like the
They have
Browns back in like 2017.
they have 5 wins in my opinion that are guarantees, and that's I think they'll beat the Giants twice, and I think they'll beat the Redskins twice, and they'll beat the Bengals once. Those are the only 5 guarantees, like 100%. Outside of that, I can't really guarantee anything else.
Yeah.
And I also guarantee 1 win against Dallas. 6.
Oh
I'll
yeah,
guarantee
that's a given. They're gonna split with Dallas because that's what
Yeah,
they
so
always
that's
do.
six wins guarantee. Outside of that, anything is possible. They can lose to the Rams, they can lose to the Cardinals, they can lose to the Browns. And then outside of those 3 teams, they're all really formidable opponents that all their opponents will definitely go above 500, like
They
Steelers.
won't lose to all those teams, by the way. Like I wouldn't be
No,
surprised if
no, they'll beat
they
them.
could easily win like 2 of those games. They could win like 4 of those games. Like they could win a good amount of those games if they're not
Exactly.
stupid. But they will be stupid because they're Philly.
Their overall team, like you said 2 years ago, they were a Super Bowl team, bro. They are a stacked team. They genuinely are a good team. They didn't make the Super Bowl there for no reason. There and I heard Wentz is killing it in training camp.
That is
He's
factual
thrown
from
he's
my
thrown more
inside sources.
he's thrown like more touchdowns or like completions. I don't remember what it was. He's thrown more touchdowns I think in training camp than he already has in the entirety of the last season. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing how Carson Wentz does. I think Carson Wentz will him and Dak Prescott will have great years this year. I think they'll both show their
Hopefully.
yeah. And yeah, that's my opinions on the NFC. I don't know if you have anything else to add, but that's all I have.
Nah. Again, rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. I'm just looking through Instagram right now. It's everyone, wishing condolences to his families. Again, very sad. Again, this is our final thoughts on the NFC. We're gonna have an AFC episode coming out pretty soon as well. Hopefully in slightly less depressing times, but yeah, I mean that's all I have to say. Just rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. Hope football happens this year because we need something good to happen this year. And that is all for me. You have anything else to say before we finish this, man?
I have nothing else to add. That was a great pod. I think we covered the NFC very well, and I'm looking forward to cover my AFC soon.
Next
So
week or whenever, a couple of days from now, hopefully.
yeah,
Anyway, thanks for listening. Leave a podcast review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify because why not? It'll help bring traction to this podcast, and we can keep doing it because I really enjoy doing this podcast. Anyway, that's all for me. That's all for them all. Again, rest in peace for Chadwick Boseman. Everyone, keep your head up, be happy, and screw 2020. That is all for me. Yeah, thanks for listening, and peace out. Bye.